Yes, and we are live once again. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and once again, we are live tonight. Yes, how's everyone doing? I think something is new in the color of my camera. But yes, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to our live stream, our online tutorial with Teacher Maria here on YouTube. Thank you for being here tonight. Once again, there has been no request with regards to our science. So we will be starting off with, and all of our discussion tonight will be maths. So as found in my thumbnail or title of this live stream, we will be covering two topics. That will be factoring by completing the square, and the other one would be polygons, regular polygons. Yes, good evening. I hope everyone is doing fine. I think something is wrong with my, yeah, I hope everything's okay. Let me just check, okay? Yeah, it's fine, All right. I feel like there is an edge color, but I hope I am clear. We'll wait for a few minutes for our students to join. Thank you once again for being here tonight. Thank you for our 3 viewers. We will have our 1-hour live stream tonight, and it will be covering maths topic, factoring by completing the square and regular polygons. And if you have any question at the end, you can also ask question. Hopefully I could answer your question, and if not, then you just type in the topics that you would wish me to cover next meeting, next week, Tuesday at 7 p.m. So if you have any topic that you would wish me to cover or to discuss, hopefully, probably, I'm not yet sure, but probably by next week, we will be moving our live stream on a Wednesday, okay? I'm not yet sure, but still contemplating whether to move it on a Wednesday or stick to our regular session or live stream every Tuesday. Okay, 1 more minute to go before we start. So we will just be relaxing tonight and relaxing, hopefully relaxing while learning maths. Okay, so 1 minute to go, and we will start with our first topic, which is on completing factoring quadratic trinomials or quadratic expressions by completing the square. Okay, so our first topic would be on factoring quadratic expressions or trinomials by completing the square. So before anything else, let's have a recap first, what we have learned about or how can we possibly factor by completing. So let's try to expand the following brackets, and hopefully you would notice the relationship between the original expression and a coefficient of x in the expanded expression in each case. Okay, so if you have x plus 2 squared, then this would be, let me just, okay, okay, all right, so this would be, sorry, something is really bothering me on my setup. Okay, let me just move a bit. Okay, so this would be x squared, right? Plus twice the product of our first and second term plus 1. Sorry, plus 2. Twice the product. Oh my goodness, what's wrong with me? Something is really bothering me. Okay, so x plus 2 squared is square of the first term plus, because the sign here is plus, so the sign should be positive as well. So plus twice the product of our first and second term. Hi Tokushima, good evening. So plus twice the product of our first and second term. So x times 2 is 2x times 2 will be 4x. Plus square of the last term. So that will be 4, because 2 square is 4. Now on the other hand, if we have x minus 3, so since it's x minus 3, this will be square of the first term, x squared. Let me change the color of, hi Punini. Let me change the color so that you would see the difference. So that's 4. And then the last one is 4. Okay. So if you have here x minus 3 squared, it will be square of the first term. That's x squared plus, what happened? Oh my goodness, what is wrong with me? Okay, wait a minute. Let me just, all right, okay. Okay, and then you have square of the first term, okay? And since this is a minus, so our middle term will also be a minus. That will be twice. So x times negative 3 is negative 3x. Times 2 will be negative 6x. Okay, so this will be negative 6. And you have your x. And plus, okay, square of the last term. That is 9. All right, that's 9. All right, the last one, again, square of the first term, that's x squared. Since that's a plus sign, so the middle term will be also plus. And it's twice the product of the first and the last term. So twice the product, so you will have 2. And then you have a and x. Okay, twice the product of our first and second term. And it will be plus the square of the last term. So that will be a squared. Now, if you would notice here, all right, if you would notice, your middle term is actually double. Okay, your middle term is, the coefficient of your middle term is double. So the coefficient of your first term, okay, is a square of the number. See, it's square of 1. So since the first term is 1, it's also 1. And then the 1 in the middle is actually being doubled. So if you would see 1, okay, so you have 2 here, that becomes 4. If that's 3, that becomes 6. And if that's a, it becomes 2a. It becomes double. And then, of course, the last term here is being squared. So if you would notice, I'll use another color. Square of 2 is 4. Square of 3 is 9. Square of a is a squared. So the coefficient of your x is double the number after the x in the bracket. So it's always double, okay? Now, remember that when you expand a binomial like this, that is being squared, that means that the number in the middle is being doubled and the number at the last is being squared, and the number on the first term will also be squared. So why are we starting? Sorry. Okay. So why are we starting with this concept? Why are we having a recap on expanding brackets? That is because when we do, is that foil? Yes, that's foil. but this is a shortcut method. It's a shortcut method. That means that square of the first term plus or minus depends on the sign of the given bracket, plus or minus twice the first and the last. Okay, so let's say it's xy, and then plus square of the last term. So you would see that's plus 2, so you have double, twice, 3 twice, so 6, a twice, so 2. Okay, so it's always double. So what is its relationship with our Hi, good evening, Ambery. So what is the relationship of this with our completing the square? Why are we trying to explain that the number in the middle is always doubled? That is because when we do completing the square, the opposite of double is half. Okay, so that means that we need the half. Remember, completing the square is in the form a plus b square, and it could be plus c on the outside. So ax plus b square plus c on the outside. So if you would notice here, all right, why is it called completing the square? Because the number here are all perfect square, 4, 9, a squared. So completing this square would only happen if the last term is a perfect square. Sorry, not completing the square. A perfect square trinomial only happens if the last term is a perfect square and the middle term is being doubled with a product of your first and last term. Okay, so double, the opposite of double is half, right? So if you would notice, let me delete everything. Clear ink. Again, if you would notice how to expand this, it will be x squared plus double the second term. Okay, it's double, so 4x plus the square of the last term, which is 4. This one will be x squared minus double, that will be 6x plus square of the last. This will be x squared plus 2ax, that means it's being doubled, plus square of the last. So that means that all your numbers here in the middle are double and all the numbers on the last are square. So in this case, if you are asked to put the form in a completing the square, okay, meaning we have to complete whatever it is that is given, this is your completing the square form. What should we do is, what would be the expansion, right? The expansion is double and square. So here we have to take the half and the square. Okay, so what is half? Half of the middle term, which is the one with the x. So we have to half it. So how will we do it? How will we do the halving? So simple. You place the bracket x. What is half of 10? Half of 10 is 5. Since the sign is positive, so you just place plus 5 and then put a square outside. Okay, what is the square of 25? The square of the square of 5 is 25, right? So since the last term is always the square of this number, so square of 25 is square of 25. Square of 5 is 25. Something is bothering me. Square of 5 is 25. So because the form requires the plus b outside, that means that whatever is the square number, you have to take it away. Why do you take it away? Because it's not part of the solution or the original equation, right? There is no 25 here. So if we expand x plus 5 square, if we expand this, we will actually get, let me use a different color, x squared plus 10x plus 25, right? So that means 25 here, the plus 25 is not part of the original. It's not part of the original. So how do you get rid of the plus 25? You minus 25. Okay? So you minus 25 to get rid of the 25. So with this, always, okay, we are doing completing the square. It will be x, what happened? X plus 5 being squared, and square of 5 is 25. So you just need to subtract minus 25. And that's it. That's done. It's in this form, x plus a squared plus 6. Okay? Let's try another one. Here, you have x squared plus 2x. So what is half of 2? Half of 2 is 1. So you'll have x plus, why is it plus? Because the sign here is plus. So plus 1. Square of 1 is 1. So therefore you subtract minus 1. Okay? So far, so good. So far, okay. Send me a thumbs up if you're okay. All right. Okay, the next one is x squared minus 6x. So to do completing the square for this, what is this lesson? This lesson is completing the square. The form of completing the square is x plus a squared plus b. That's completing the square. For you to do completing the square, you have to understand what is a form of a perfect square trinomial. A perfect square trinomial is a form wherein the middle term is the product, double the product of your first and last term, and the third term or the last term is the square of your last term. Okay? So that is the reason why for you to be able to understand completing the square, you have to understand first the one that I showed you. How do you expand a perfect square trinomial? This one. So for you to expand a perfect square trinomial, when you expand a perfect square trinomial, you would notice that the middle term is always double the last. Double. 3 times 2 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4, a times 2 is 2a. And the last term is always being squared. Square of 2 is 4, squared of 3 is 9, squared of a is a squared. So going to this, that's the reason why you have half of 10. So you get the half, and then you square. So what is half of 10? Half of 10 is 5. Squaring 5 is 25. But since this is an incomplete, we're trying to complete it. That's why we put minus 25 outside. Whatever you have done that is not part of the original expression, you have to take it away. So if we square plus 5 here, it will give you a plus 25. I think I erased it. I have written it a while ago. So this is x squared plus 10x plus 25, right? So since it's a plus 25, which is not part of the original expression, I have to do a minus 25 after. All right. Okay. The next one is, what is half of 6? Half of 6 is 3. So you place x, half of 6 minus, what is wrong with my pen? Minus 3. What is square? What is square of 3? Square of 3 is 9. So you place minus 9 outside. Okay, we don't want the positive 9 because it's not part of the original expression. So you subtract it. Because the sign of a squared number is always positive, that is the reason why outside is always minus 9. It's always minus 9 because minus 9 or positive 9 is not part of the original expression. All right, so the last one would be x last one would be x. What is half of 8? Half of 8 is 4, so x minus 4. What is square of 4? Square of 4 is 16, so that will be minus 16. And that is your form of your completing the square. Okay, now we are trying to complete or factor out an expression in the form of completing the square. Now let's try. What if, okay, what if you have an expression that is not factorable and you are asked to put the expression in this form, x plus a squared plus b. This form, again, is known to be completing the square. The key motivation is that while x squared plus 4x plus 9 contains an x squared expression, that means that you can actually complete it, okay, by using completing the square. So how do we put a whole expression into a completing the square form? Simple, the same thing as what we did. We only take x squared and the x, okay? We take the x squared and the x. So we have, what is half of 8? Half of 8 will be 4. So you will have x plus 4. All right, square it. What is square of 4? Square of 4 is 16. So minus 16. And then you add the last number here. This one, the plus 3. You add it here. Not odd, you place it there. Okay, so that will be x plus 4 minus 16 plus 3. So only take the one with x squared plus 8x. All right, so the final answer here would be brackets x plus 4 squared minus 13. So this is your completing the square form. Okay, how about the next one? The same thing. So what is the first thing that you have to do is, what is half of 2? So half of 2 is 1, right? What is 2 divided by 2? It's 1. So you have x, you write it down, minus 1, square it. Okay. What is square of 1? Square of 1 is 1. So you place minus 1 outside. And then you add the 10. The number, the constant that is there. Hope everything is okay. All right. So you add the 10. That means that your final answer here will be x minus 1 squared minus 1 plus 10 will be plus 9. Okay, so it will be x minus 1 squared and then plus 9. All good? All good? Send me a thumbs up if you are all good. Hopefully you're not confused. Okay, I'll do it as slow as I can. Okay, the next one, you have x squared plus 12x minus 1. So you have here x squared plus 12x minus 1. So what's the first step? The first step is to take half of your given in the middle, which is 12x. Okay, so half of 12 is 6. So you place it. It is wrong. X plus 6 squared. Okay, again, the plus and minus sign here is based on the middle term. So x plus 6 squared. Now square of 6 is 36. So you subtract 36 and then minus 1. These numbers here, minus 1 plus 10, this is the one that I'm adding here. at the end. All right. So if that is the case, therefore, our final answer would be x plus 6 squared minus 37. Questions so far? You can type your question if you have clarification. Okay, moving on. The last one, you have x squared minus x plus 1. By the way, completing the square is normally done if a quadratic trinomial is non-factorable or it's incomplete and you need to have it in a complete form where you have an expression x plus a squared and then plus b. Okay, that's the reason why you have that expression. That's the reason, or that's why you have the completing the square. All right, so the last one here is minus 1. The middle term is minus 1. So that means half of minus 1 or half of 1 is 1/2. So x minus 1/2 and then you square. Okay, what is square of 1/2? Square of 1/2 will be the square of 1 and the square of 2. That will be minus 1/4. And then you add 1. All right, so minus 1/4, and then you have a 1 at the end. That means that you have to add minus 1/4 to 1. So what is minus 1/4 to 1? What is negative 1/4 plus 1? Anyone? You can type your answer if you have an answer. Oh, never mind. You do the next slide. Okay, so x minus 1/2 squared, negative 1/4 taken out from 1 will be 3/4. So the remaining will be 3/4. Okay, so again, for completing the square, you take the half of the middle term, squaring that number, subtract it, and then you add the constant, or you subtract the constant, remaining numbers here, the plus 1, the minus 1, and so on. All right, let's try the following. Try the following. You can type your answer on the box. That means that you have to put this in the form x plus a squared plus b. You can type try to answer the following. You can type your answer. I'll give you 5 minutes. If no one would like to answer it, then we can have, I can answer it. I can answer it. So it has to be in the form x plus a squared half of 16 Tokushima is 8. You're almost correct. It's half. Half and then minus the square. Half and then minus the square. So x, half of 16 is plus 8. Square it. What is square of 16? Sorry, what is square of 8? Oh, okay. All right, no problem. Half of 16 is 8. So 16 divided by 2 is 8. And what is 8 square? What is 8 square? 8 squared would be minus, and then you put minus outside. Minus the square of 8. It will be minus 64. Uh-oh, what happened here? Yes, that is correct. Yes, you are right. Okay, so it's always half of the middle term, and then always subtract whatever is being squared. Okay, because it's not part of the original equation. So always subtract it. So how about the second one? Anyone who would wish to try it, you can try it. Come on, you can do it. So the first step that you have to do is x, since that's a plus, so we have a plus as well. What is half of 10? Half of 10 will be 5. Yes, that's correct. Half of 10 will be 5. You minus 25 and then plus 31, not 36. Plus 31. Where did you get 36? Okay, so that will be x plus 5 square. Not 36. It's 31. 25 and 31, not 36. It's 31, right? Okay. So negative 25 plus 31 will only be plus 6, right? So that's the answer. Yeah, I wonder why you saw that 36. It's 30. Let me just place it as red. Plus 31. Okay. Now the last one. The same thing. We have x. Since that's a minus, so you have minus. Half of 6 will be 3. And then you place the bracket. Squared. Okay. What is square of 3? It will be 9. So that will be minus 9. And then you have minus 5. Minus 5. So what will be our final answer here? So this will be x minus 3 square minus 13. Yay! So any question until this point? I hope everyone is cleared with it. So first is, again, half of the term, the middle term with the x. That will be the one that you pair with your bracket. And then you minus. All right? Now, here is the challenge. What if the coefficient is not 1? There are some expressions wherein the coefficient is not 1. How can we possibly factor it using completing the square? So when we factor out numbers or expression, not numbers, expression that has an x squared that is not a 1, like this one, you have 2x squared, you have 3x squared, that is not a 1, the first thing that you have to do is factor out that number, okay? Factor out that number. Do not include the constant. So for this case, we will do it as 2x squared. Oh my goodness, why is my pen not writing well? So you have 2x squared plus 8x together, and then you just place plus 7 outside. Okay? Now you factor out 2. What is the number that is with the x squared? That is the number that you have to factor out. So factoring out 2, all right, I'll place it here, 2. I'll place this, okay, so that you won't be confused. So brackets, x squared plus 4x. All right, okay, so I have factored out 2 plus 7. And then you proceed with the process. Since this is already x squared, then you can proceed with the completing the square. Okay, so this will be 2 bracket, and then I'll use a different pen color. So that's x plus half of 4 is 2 square. Okay, square of 2 is 4, right? So you have minus 4. Okay, don't blink, and then you place plus 7. Why did I isolate everything? It is because of the 2 that has been factored out, and 7 is not part of it. That is the reason why it has been factored out. Now to remove this bracket here, to remove that bracket, we will distribute the number outside. So we distribute, that will be 2 times x plus 2 squared. Distribute this as well, 2 to 4, that will be minus 8. And then you have plus 7. So therefore, your final form will be 2x plus 2 squared minus 1. So that means that if the coefficient is not 1, your form would be a brackets x plus b squared plus c. There is a number outside, which is your x squared's coefficient. Okay, so first step, again, isolate your 2x squared and your x squared and your x. Second step, factor out the number of your x squared. All right, factor it out. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. Third step, perform completing the square. So half of 4 will be 2. So x plus 2 bracket squared. Square of 2 is 4. So negative 4. Last step, distribute the number that has been factored out again back. So that's 2. X plus 2 squared minus 2 times 4 is 8 plus 7. So minus 1. Okay. Let's try again. Let's try on the next example. So let me just erase everything that has been written. Clear the ink. Okay. So you have 3x squared minus 6x plus 11. The first step is isolate 3x squared. Isolate 3x squared minus 6x. And then you place plus 11 outside. The next step is you factor out the number that is with x squared. Always the whole number, you factor it out. Okay, I'll place the bracket. And then you have x squared minus 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, 2x, close bracket, plus 11. Okay? All clear so far? And then you proceed with the completing the square of this one because you have x squared. By the way, completing the square cannot be done if there is a coefficient more than 1. So you have to factor it out first. So you have 3 bracket. Okay, I'll perform completing the square. So half of 2 is 1. So x, since the sign is minus, so minus 1. Square of 1 is 1. So you will have minus 1. And then close, and then plus 11. The last step is to distribute back your number outside. So distributing it back, you will have, distribute this here. So you'll have 3 brackets, x minus 1 squared. And then you have 3 times negative 1. That will be negative 3 plus 11. Therefore, our final answer would be 3 bracket x minus 1 squared plus 8. All right. So again, the step would be isolate your x squared and your x. Factor out the coefficient with your x squared. Perform the completing the square, meaning half of your x number. And then you subtract that square of that number. Next step would be distribute back the factor that you have taken out or the number with the x squared, and then you simplify. All right, let's try to do this. You can do it. You can do it. Yay, you can do it. Let's try. Please do try the following. Try to do it. You can do it. First step. Second step. Maha Blanca. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. You can do it. So what's the first step? Let's try to do the first one together, okay? The first step is you isolate 3x squared plus 6x, and then you place plus 2 outside. Yes. And then the next step, the second step is you factor out the number that is in x squared. So factoring out the number that is in x squared, because again, you cannot do completing the square if the coefficient of x squared is not 1. So it has to be 1. So you factor out that number. You will have 3. I'll place an additional bracket so that you will not be confused later. X squared plus 2x. And then the plus 2 outside. Oh, where's my 2x? Sorry. 2x. Oh my goodness, it doesn't write. Okay. All right. So I have factored out. Then you apply completing the square on x squared plus 2x. So half of 2 is, yes, that's correct, Maha Blanca. So half of 2 is 1. So you will have 3 brackets x plus 1 squared minus 1, because square of 1 is 1. And then I'll close it. And then the plus 2. Okay, there's no magic. There's no magic happening here. Okay? Are we all good? Please respond by saying yes if you are. Hi, Nirda. I forgot the next one. Okay, okay. I can wait for you, Ma Blanca. Don't worry. The next one is you distribute. Distribute back the number that is outside. So this will be 3 bracket x. What is wrong? X plus 1 squared. Uh-oh. Why is it getting smaller and smaller? Okay, plus 1 squared. 3 times negative 1. Okay. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 plus 2. Is that plus 2? Yeah, plus 2. Therefore, your final answer will be 3x plus 1 squared minus 1. Okay? First, take out the number. Second, perform the completing the square. Last one, put back that number. Multiply it back. All right, let's proceed to the next one. So the next one will be bracket of this. Okay. And then factor out that number that is with x squared. Take it out. Put it out. Put it out. Factor it out. Oh, you don't distribute. No. No, you don't expand because you need it in this form. A x plus b. You need it in the completing the square form. That's the completing the square form. If a number is, if x squared has a value more than 1. Okay? So you factor out the number that is with x squared, which is 2. Place it outside. 2 bracket, right? X squared minus half of 2, or 12 divided by 2 is 6x bracket close plus 1 outside. You always put the constant outside. You don't include it, okay? Because the mere fact that it's not a perfect square, that is why you have to find what number will make it perfect. So you just place it outside. And then you factor out 2. What is half of 6? Half of 6 is? Half of 6 is 3. Oh my goodness. Why is this not writing? X squared, x minus 3, and then minus squared minus 9. Close it, plus 1. Okay? And then you distribute back 2. So distributing it back, you will have 2 bracket x minus 3 squared minus 18 plus 1. So your final answer would be 2x minus 3 minus 17. You try the last one. Anyone who would wish to try the last one? I think I'm losing the space. I'm losing the space. Plus 1 minus 9 plus 1. Yes, half of 6 and then square it. Yes, that is correct. So half of 6 is 3. Squaring it is 9. That's why you have minus 9 outside. So the process of your completing the square is half of the middle term and then square. So since the square here is just being added, that means you have to subtract it all the time because it's not part of the original expression or equation. So half, so the process is always half and then square minus the square, half and then minus the square. All right, so let's proceed to the last one. So again, you isolate the one with the x squared and an x. You factor out 2. You have x squared. Yes, that's correct. Plus 12x plus 70. And then you have, now you can proceed with, I have to put it on brackets. And then you half it. So that will be 2 brackets x plus 6, half of square it. Square of 6 is 36, so minus 36, close, plus 70. And then you distribute 2. You put 2 back. You distribute 2 back. So 2 bracket x plus 6 square. 2 times 36, that is 1272. So minus 72 plus 70. So your final answer will be 2x plus 6 squared minus 2. Yes, that is correct. You are right, Tokushima. You're getting it. Yes. Yes, it's always negative. As I have mentioned, why is it always negative? Because if you expand this, let's say x plus 6 squared, right? If you expand x plus 6, what is wrong with my... sorry. Uh-oh. Okay, anyway. Sorry. Something is wrong with my okay, anyway. All right. So because if you expand, it's always a negative sign because x plus 6, if you expand this is x squared plus 12x plus 36. And 36 is not part of the original expression. 36 is not part of the original expression. The original expression is only x squared plus 12x. So you have to subtract 36. That's why it's always minus the square. Because it's not part of the original expression. The original expression is only x squared plus 12x. So to take away that 36, you have to subtract it back. All right. So let's try to do a recap on this completing this square. So if you have a completing this square, it has to be in the form x plus a square plus c. And if there is a number, it will be a x. Oh, let's make this b so that it will be easier to x plus b square plus c. Now, completing this square is required if you have, let's say, x plus 2 squared. So if you expand this, x plus 3, let's use x plus 3. So x squared plus 6x plus 9. So if you only have x squared plus 6x as your given equation, if the given equation is only x squared plus 6x, so if you perform completing this square on this, it will be x plus 3 squared. And since you have squared it, So you have to minus 9 outside because the 9 here is not part of the original expression. So the steps in completing the square, the first step is you have to take the half of the middle term's number. Half of the middle term's number, so 6, half of the middle term is 3, and square 3, and then subtract that square number outside. If a number, or if an expression given is with a coefficient more than 1 on your x squared, you have to factor it out first, and then you perform the completing the square. Okay, I hope that is clear. We can continue, we can have another session for completing the square just to check probably next week if needed. Do let me know if you need it. And now we proceed with a very short discussion on regular polygons. Now, if you talked about regular polygons, that means all the sides are equal, okay? When you say regular polygons, all the sides are equal. If it is irregular polygons, that means not all the sides are equal. So if all the sides are equal, that means that all their angles as well are equal. So if you have a three-sided polygon, which we call a triangle, it is being established in the postulate of triangles that the total number, okay, the total measure, not number, the total measure of the angles of a triangle is 180. This is always, this is always 180 degrees, a triangle. That means that each triangle here will be 60, 60, 60. So each of this will be 60 degrees, 60 degrees, 60 degrees. So, which means that how can we link the number of sides of a triangle to the different regular polygons? So if you have a four-sided, you actually have this, right? So if we have this, how many triangles do we have? So we have 2 triangles. That means that the total angle will be 2 times 2 of my triangle, which is 180 times 2. That will give me 360. Okay, 180 times 2 will give me 360. And if it's a 5-sided triangle, 5-sided, I take one side, that's 1, 2, 3. So you have 1, 2, 3. 3 triangles. So you have here 180 degrees times 3 triangles, you will have 540 degrees. So the same thing with a 6-sided. I'll take one side, I'll have it into different triangles. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means that it will be 4 times 180, 4 times 180. That will give you 720. So what have you noticed with the number of sides and the number of triangles? If you would notice that the number of sides and the number of triangles, 4, and then the number of triangles is 2. 5, the number of triangles is 3. That is the reason why in an angle, finding the angles in a polygon or an interior angle, this will be the number of sides would be equal to n minus 2 times 180. Okay? Because, why is it n minus 2? Because your sides here with 4-sided polygon, it's 2 triangles. So it becomes 2 times 180. If it's 5, it becomes 3. So 5 minus 2 is 3. 4 minus 2 is 2. That is the reason why your interior, okay, the sum of interior will be n minus 2 times 180 degrees. Okay, that's the formula for your regular polygons, not triangles. So if you have here, equilateral triangle has 3, a square has a 4, so this will be 180 times 2. And then if you wanted each interior angle, you just need to divide the total, which is 360, the total 360 divided by the number of sides. So therefore, how do we find the interior? Each interior would be n minus 2 times 180 degrees divided by n. N here represents the number of sides. So n for the equilateral triangle is 3. So n minus 2 is 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. That's why it's 180 times 1. And if you wanted to know each interior angle, so 180, whatever is the answer, divided by 3, which is the number of sides, then you will get 60. Okay? So I think we will end until there because it's almost time. It's almost time. I'm sorry we cannot play Kahoot tonight because it's almost 8 o'clock and it's almost 1 hour of our stream. We cannot extend much for the reason that it's a Tuesday. Nothing, just nothing. Don't mind me. So we will discuss interior and exterior angles next week, okay? So any question? So again, if you have interior, the sum of interior will be n minus 2 times 180. Each interior, we can have more time. I'll think I'll transfer my live stream on a Wednesday so we can have more time. N minus 2, 180 divided by 2. And if you have exterior, yes, Tokushima. Exterior angles is always a total of 360. And each exterior will be 360 divided by n. Yes, Tokushima, what's your question? Why is it n, not x? Oh, because n represents number of sides. N always represents number. You can use x, not a problem. You can replace n as x. So x would represent the number of sides. It's yeah. All right. So I hope that you were able to understand our completing the square. Why do you need this? Why do you need this? Okay. Why do you need to understand the sizes? It's just you will this is normally used for tessellation. So when we talked about tessellation, this is when they put all the polygons together to form, it's either on an art or on a specific construction. Okay, it helps. One is angles really help in construction of buildings, in the exterior design or the interior design, for it to withstand pressure. And the other one is because of the design, meaning for the art. So if you would tessellation, if you would look into that word tessellation is a repetition of a regular polygon or a shape. So if you have, let's say for example this one, and you repeat, okay, you always see these kind of shapes, right? In domes or in lattices or in your diamonds. So it's very important for you to understand the angles, the measures of each side, and the regularity of each shape. That is because of tessellation. And it's not just being used mostly in construction of buildings, design, but this would also allow you to understand how the shapes or the design withstand pressure. For example, your beehive, they have a hexagonal, right? they have an hexagonal that has been repeated several times, it actually helps in it has different purposes. And even your fiber optics, it is being tessellated in a certain shape, as well as your diamonds, it has been tessellated in a certain shape. So if your diamond is hexagonal in shape and it has been repeated, if it's not hexagonal in shape, it will not be a diamond. Yes, so that's the purpose and the reason why you have to understand regular shapes and why is there a certain angle. Because of its application. And the application is what we call, remember that, tessellation. Tessellation. I think it's double S. Yes. S or one S. Any more question before we end our live stream? If you do have a question and if you have a request on a certain topic, please do not just leave the live stream, but please do leave a comment. Don't leave, but leave a comment, okay? Leave a comment behind on what topic you would wish me to take next week. And we will try, bye Tukishima, and we will try to make it longer next week. That's the reason why I'm contemplating to move it on Wednesday. Okay, we'll have our live stream every Wednesday so that we will have 1.5 hours or 2 hours of live stream. Thank you everyone for being here with us. Apologies that we are not able to play Kahoot tonight. I prepared a Kahoot, but we will play next week. Okay, so I hope that you were able to learn something today, and I hope that it's able for you to revise and as well refresh what you have learned about completing the square. Thanks everyone. I'll see you next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll keep you posted, keep you updated. Same time, same channel. This is Teacher Maria signing off. Good night and God bless everyone. Bye-bye. Bye everyone.